All right, so Zap's gonna look back at you. We're just gonna pick up from where I left off, disregard everything else that happened. Zap's gonna look up at you, pick up his line right where he left off. It really comes down to what you want there.
Well, I've been doing some thinking about that, and I do agree that what we said the other day, my idea for a scattergun was foolish and somewhat misguided. I think more of a dueling suit, if that's the correct terminology, would be more correct for what we're going to be fighting and what we're going to be dealing with. So, and you two might be there to help me, you know, what's the word? Refine the ideas a bit, but I think putting more into the beam saber is smarter because I'm going to end up face to face with things like xenomorphs and those ray units no matter what. And so I think that beefing that up with one of those two slots might be a good idea.
Suletta nods. Oh, you know how to use a dauber gun.
I do, actually. And that wouldn't be a bad idea because that does give me an option should something try to play the range game.
Were you fond of the Epion's heat whip?
I very much was. It felt very nice to use.
Was it able to stun that large creature?
Can I think back?
It was.
It was actually, yes.
Suletta, I am sure we can have another heat whip manufactured for you.
I like that. A heat whip and maybe a heat whip and maybe something similar to the Daba gun. We could make this basically an in-between of the Torgis 2 and the Epion.
Zap nods his head. Given the fact they're the suits you got the most experience with, sounds smart to me. And the Vulcans, of course.
Of course. I think that would probably work quite well as an idea. Yes, I quite like that.
Suletta nods her head. Doesn't have to be a dauber gun. Uh, Dauber guns are concentrated energy burst weapons. It could be a railgun.
I actually was considering a railgun as an idea and leaning more towards it. I don't know how it could be attached. That would be more you two, whether it be an actual handheld gun or if it were attached to the suit itself like a shoulder turret. I don't know which would be optimal. I would defer to your expertise on that.
Jennifer, given the amount of power required for a railgun, it would probably have to be attached to the suit. Zap, and dauber guns are the natural progression to railgun. They started arming the last couple mobile suits with railguns. So, it's doable.
I think that's a good idea. We can leave the Vulcans to take care of small fry like the lower cased xenomorphs or, well, max tech commandos or power armor cultists, and have the railgun as an option to deal with something that wants to stay out of range, like one of those ray units. Get in.
Zap, do you want the railgun to be able to be detached so you have free movement of the other arm?
Yes, I think having that as an option would be smart.
Zap, I can do it for you.
Thank you. I think that's for the best. And then we can have the heat whip as an option for the beam saber.
Suletta is taking down notes on her wrist computer, so no shield. But that's not a big deal. I don't think the Toggies' shield helped you that much against whatever they are.
I don't think it did. I think. Well, this may be me being presumptuous yet again, but I think that the shield may have been more designed to fight the mobile armors that you guys had to fight, that they had to fight back then.
As you finish your sentence, you feel Sarah's grab your wrist.
What is it, darling? Oh.
She tugs on your wrist like Icy tugs on David's and points at somebody coming up to the group.
Oh.
Suletta, just in time, closes her wrist computer.
Yes. It seems someone was expecting this, looking at her with a little smirk.
Jiren comes up. Ash?
Hello, Commander.
Jennifer sticks her tongue out at him and he looks at her confused.
Interesting to see you here. We're just working on our work with the Torgis 3 and came to see the heavy arms to maybe gain inspiration for our completion on it.
Scar tries to push his way through Saris, and Saris is much stronger than Scar pushing Scar.
I was unaware you'd been transferred to here.
Yes. At request, as Suletta steps up next to Jiren. Zap, bang any good women from those online chat rooms there? Pinhead. Jiren looks over at Zap. Huh. Well, that explains why this one stuck her tongue out at me, and that Mr. Freetooth is having to be held back by your wife.
Yes, it would. And although I'm not a fan of it, it does pay to be as professional as possible with a superior officer.
Commander Jiren nods his head. You always were the better soldier of the two of you. Doesn't say anything else.
That may have been the case at the time, yes. I'm not so sure about now, but well, I suppose you may disagree with that as well.
Suletta looking at Jiren blankly. Suletta, tell me something, Jiren. What does it take to crack that shield of yours? Jiren, an immense amount of force. Julius or Lasley have been able to do it. Isn't that right, Ash? And he rolls his eyes.
They have. I'd also say Icy was as well, if we're going to be honest. She did quite handily hand-wave your biggest defensive ability back in the EarthGov games.
Ooh, Jiren glares at you, uh-huh.
And now she's outpaced even the general.
So I've heard. I'm sure her mother, he air quotes, is very proud.
Oh, I'm sure she is. And looking over at his aunt, well, I can think of one other who probably would have a decent chance of that.
Jiren, don't take it personally. The rainfalls are too much for my taste.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure they are.
So let her pop your barrier. You see her eyelid is twitching.
Sonny, you may want to step back. Oh, son, Jennifer, you may want to step back.
Steps up and pulls up his wrist computer. Jiren, if you insist. He pops the shield of the army's barrier, and he pats his chest. Nothing's going to get through this. Sure, maybe Julius, or Lasley, or Icy, if you will, but a spellcaster, they don't fight fair.
Auntie? Have at him.
Jiren, you wish to fight me. What is this on behalf of Davine's honor? As Suletta slaps the fuck out of him, frosting her hand, sending him flying back here. These guards both, what the fuck? See him fly into a building, and he's upside down. In the building, his legs sticking up. She and blows on the tips of her fingers and lets the frost go. And Zap, that was fucking great!
Gonna wipe the bits of frost that probably scattered on his face. Yes, it was. And I believe... Saris, did you catch that on camera?
Saris, no, I didn't, but I think Zap did, as Zap is still recording everything. Scar, nice.
Nice indeed. Well, thank you, Auntie. It was vomit-inducing to have to pretend to be cordial with him.
Guards coming over to help him. Suletta, shield. A simple slap broke the shield.
Well, it would seem somebody didn't understand that overconfidence is a killer like he claimed to.
Arrogant even until the end. She shakes her head. We have your weapons selected. If you change your mind, maybe we could go look at more mobile suits. It's up to you. Consult your materials app has given you your book, and if you'd like to see more, I have access to all.
I would like that. Even if I don't need to see more for the weapons' sake, I think, looks at Jennifer, I think it would be a nice day out to do it again. Hi?
Jennifer, it was fun! Especially the end, as she's looking at Jared. This guy called ambulance! Zap, still recording the whole thing.
I think that'll put a pep in everyone's step when we get to Tommy's, don't you?
So let it be sure to show that to date baby girl Zap. Come and zap anything you say, goddess, and starts following.
You gonna walk up? Well, thank you both for your insight on that. It's overwhelming to try and pick weapons for these. There's so many more combinations, but unlike the armory, I can't have my ability to pick and choose. I need to pick and just stay with it.
Zap, well, if you get in your first throwdown with your mobile suit and you're feeling like something ain't working out, we can always change things, but it does take time.
Of course. Just wanted to be correct because, well, like when I asked you about the suits, Monty, I need to be operating at 100% efficiency when that day comes.
She nods her head in agreement and gestures towards the vertebrae.
He's gonna get on board.
You will make your way to Tommy's as we transition map. Boom. We're almost there. All right, and the 6 of you are here first. Tommy sees you coming in. Bringing no friends.
Yes, I am. It's good to see you, Tommy. This is...
Nice to see you.
Well, going from the front to the back, this is Zap, good friend, and our resident mobile suit expert, engineer. This is Scar Freetooth. Have you two met?
Scar, we came in here to spy on you guys once.
That's right, you haven't officially met. This is Scar Freetooth, a good friend, good worker, and fellow survivor of the Majestic.
Pleasure to meet you.
Have you met Jennifer yet, Tommy?
Jennifer comes up, shakes his hand. Tommy, I think I see this little girl somewhere around here. Maybe our apartment?
Probably. She is, well, she is, again, dear friend, family member, and, well, what would you say, Jennifer? The apprentice to the expert mobile suit engineer?
Jennifer nods her head and smiles. Tommy, did you come to eat?
Yes, we're going to be meeting the rest of the family. They're going to be meeting us here in a little while.
Tommy nods his head. A very good day you choose to come. I have new pizza oven and we've been trying new pizza recipes. Would you like extra large pizza?
Sounds like a delightful meal, right? Right, everyone?
Everybody nods their heads up. I love me some pizza. Sits down next to Sarah's.
And
Scar dies.
Yes, and I'm pretty certain you've already met Auntie Suletta.
Tommy asks the Lazuli sister with all the good looks. As the rainfalls arrive, Tommy, don't worry, I'll put some blood in the pizza. Tommy blood.
Oh, just be careful. She's not the biggest fan.
Don't ask, don't tell is what Tommy always say, as Tommy disappears into the back.
Well,
And the rainfalls have arrived.
Look what the cat dragged in.
Certainly a cat, Ash. Certainly a cat.
You do
Arnaki!
Arnaki. Yes, that's what Davine calls me.
Pequod, dear God, that poor park ranger sits down here next to Scar. Next to Suletta.
I'm not going to ask.
Don't ask, don't tell.
Fair enough. Well, there's our table.
Yep. Julius will go sit down.
Sit there.
You sit here, wherever you want.
Yep.
There you go.
Well, did you guys have a good day at the zoo?
Actually, yeah. We got to see a lot of our favorite animals. Davine managed to convince us not to steal a panda. At that, Davine leans over to Suletta. I would enjoy you coming along. Those two are far more mischievous than I ever anticipated.
Suletta's inspecting the hand she slapped Jiren with, grinning. You don't say. What did they get up to?
Well, She stifles a laugh. I see polymorphed herself to look like broken Ash, the one with the lazy eye. And they both went up and scared all three of us, me, Pequod, and Binksky.
Pequod Pequod gestures to Julius. Did you record it, Julius?
I recorded the park ranger.
Play that!
As he leans over and plays it for her.
Suletta watching. My god, that man ran faster than any man I've ever seen in my life. Pequod, this isn't Ash. This is Arnaki. There's a difference, apparently.
Yes, apparently.
Suletta, what's that piece of paper you're holding in your polymorph state as Icy starts laughing?
Davine shakes her head. This is supposed to be adoption papers.
Suletta starts laughing. Turning your nightmare against the poor park rangers at the zoo.
Yes, and before that, they tended against me.
Quite mischievous. She looks down the table at both Julius and Icy.
Julius shrugs. I don't know what you're talking about, Auntie. We're not mischievous, not at all. As he gives a low 5 to Icy.
She returns and sticks her tongue out slightly at Suletta and winks. Suletta starts laughing. I would love to come along, actually. Memory Ann, as long as Memory Ann's well.
Of course. I would love Memory Ann to come along.
Good. Well, speaking of mischievous, we had a very interesting occurrence while we were out and about.
Scar, we learned a lot about Marauders and the Aerial, and I think Ash is pretty much set on his first loadout for mobile suit weapons. And then Commander Jared showed up.
Yes.
Oh.
Indeed. Zap, will you please?
What a coincidence. Commander Jared is stationed at Groom Lake, exactly where we went. Suletta starts laughing.
Yes, an incredible coincidence. Who would have
Zap.
guessed?
Zap plays the footage as you continue.
Who would have guessed that we just went there to see the heavy arms, to help me get a good idea of my weapon loadout? Who would have guessed that Commander Jiren was stationed there?
Zap plays the footage. It shows it's Suletta slapping Jiren all the way back into the building.
Davine starts laughing and she holds Suletta's hand. Letty, you absolute mad woman.
She smirks and shrugs slightly. He powered up to full extent. A simple slap, really. She plays with her fingers, wafts her fingers in the air. Broke the shield of the arm.
Look at
A
that.
simple slap indeed, and a little kick from the sword of the navy broke the shield of the army.
Would you look at that? It seems the Lazulis and the Rainfalls have a habit for shattering the shield of the army.
Pequod starts laughing. I would have much rather... I had a great time at the zoo, don't get me wrong, but I would have much rather seen that in person than Arnaki creeping up on me.
Julius starts laughing and has to hide his face in a napkin.
Banksy, yeah, when Arnaki, he air quotes with his free hand holding Icy, was first revealed, if I had a sidearm. Jesus. He starts laughing.
Fair enough.
Pequod didn't even laugh, sir, Begsy speaks up as Pequod, no. I was mortified.
No, I can imagine. Remember, I'm the one who has to remember that that was my face once upon a time.
Scar, what is all this Arnaki business about? His name is Ash.
Arnaki was a nickname that Davine called him at one point. It means like lamb or little lamb in Elvish. That's the name that we gave Icy's version of Punch Dash.
Scar, let me look at that footage a little closer. He's inspecting it. His eye was not this lazy. I see, I'm just going off the image that was in Mum's head after the nightmare. Scar, I swear to God, if naked Arnaki comes running at me at 4 a.m.
Oh God, please don't let that happen.
I see. Oh no, I promise. It won't.
Thank you.
But we can't fuck with other people in the apartment. And Scar,